Imagine fighting so much that you no longer feel fear or adrenaline, not even anger, that every punch becomes as ordinary as breathing, and violence stops feeling violent. For some, that's a sport. For others, it's a way of life. But what happens when your body, your mind, and your emotions get used to chaos? Today, let's look at the science behind getting accustomed to fights. When you fight, your body becomes a survival machine. Your body adapts on the spot, and your brain releases a storm of adrenaline and cortisol. Fear, pain, and empathy shut down, at least for a moment. But when that repeats every day, as in a professional boxer, an MMA fighter, or even a street fighter, the body begins to adapt. The amygdala becomes less reactive to danger. The brain learns to stay calm under extreme stress, and what was once panic becomes routine. In the long run, muscles harden, reflexes sharpen, and the skin around the ears can deform. Yes, what you see on fighters is called cauliflower ear. The brain, however, isn't so lucky. Every impact, no matter how small, can alter neural connections, modify memory, emotion, and even the way you feel pleasure or empathy. Over time, some no longer fight to win, but because without fighting, they don't know who they are. Phase 1. The body learns to take hits. It all starts with pain. The first time you get hit, the body panics, muscles tense up, your breath cuts short, and the brain thinks of only one thing: survive. But repeat it enough times and the body starts to understand the game. The skin becomes tougher, the muscles learn to absorb impact, and the nerves stop reacting the same way. Boxers, for example, develop microcalluses in the nerves of the face, an almost natural anesthesia produced by training. Pain literally becomes just information, a message that the brain translates into strategy. What's interesting is that not only the body adapts, but also the nervous system. Each blow strengthens connections between the amygdala and the motor cortex. You basically learn to respond with precision, even under fear, and that changes your reaction threshold. Where others freeze, you attack. Your body stops distinguishing between fighting and surviving. Phase 2. The brain goes cold. After a while, something deeper changes. Fear. That feeling that used to make you tremble now shuts off. Your amygdala, the brain's alarm, starts reacting less, and the limbic system readjusts. The body no longer releases the same amount of adrenaline, and the heart doesn't even beat as fast. You literally become harder to scare. For a professional fighter, that's gold. You can think clearly while the other person throws punches like a tornado. But for an ordinary human brain, this has a cost. When fear disappears, part of your empathy goes with it. Your mind starts seeing violence as something normal, even as a tool. And that's where boundaries blur, because if your brain learns that solving things with your fists gets results, then the impulse turns into habit. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that evaluates consequences, loses ground to the reptilian system, the one that acts without thinking. What used to be an instinctive reaction now becomes identity. You're not someone who fights. You're someone who is the fight. Phase 3. The mind breaks. Here, something disconnects. The brain, to protect itself, starts shutting down certain emotions: fear, guilt, sadness. Everything becomes background noise, and with each blow, small neural networks deteriorate, especially in areas like the hippocampus and the frontal lobe, the same ones that control memory, judgment, and self-control. In boxing, this is called fighter's syndrome, a form of chronic encephalopathy caused by repeated microblows. In simple terms, it's as if the brain ages prematurely. Mood swings, slow speech, memory loss, even aggressive behaviors outside the ring. And the most dangerous part is that many don't notice until it's too late. Outside of sports, things get darker. Those who fight in the street for survival or out of habit develop a kind of reverse PTSD. Instead of fleeing from danger, they seek it. Their body needs an adrenaline discharge to feel alive, and without it, everything else feels boring or even empty. Humans can get used to anything, even violence. And when that happens, you no longer react like a person, but like a conditioned reflex, a machine that only knows how to strike before being struck. And just to get an idea, how many fights does it take to get used to it? From 1 to 5 fights, you may notice reduced immediate anxiety and gain a bit of confidence. The body starts to stop triggering the alarm so easily. After several weeks to months of regular fights, say 2 to 3 times per week, there are more noticeable changes in emotional responses. Less fear, reduced heart rate, and pupil response, and more impulsive behavior in conflict situations. And if you've had years of frequent fights or accumulated micro blows to the head, then first there's a risk of chronic encephalopathy, memory alterations, emotional control issues, aggression, and behavioral problems. Here it isn't about how many, but the accumulation of impacts over time. And clearly, the human brain isn't designed to take punches as part of routine life. Muhammad Ali, for example, ended up with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a degenerative disease caused by blows that stayed with him in his final years. Freddie Roach, one of the most respected boxing trainers, has Parkinson's for the same reason, and it's no coincidence that many former fighters end up with personality changes so drastic they seem like different people. Some become impulsive, others depressive, and others simply unpredictable. Mike Tyson once said that without fighting he didn't know who he was, and the unsettling part is that he said it with absolute calm. In the street, the effect is different. There are no referees, no helmets, no rounds, just ego, rage, and reflexes learned through blows. There, fighting stops being a sport and becomes a language, one in which every punch is a word, and those who speak it best end up more alone than undefeated. Getting used to almost anything, pain, fear, chaos, can be both a strength and a curse. Because when you fight so much that you no longer feel anything, you stop defending yourself from the world and start defending yourself from your own self. If you made it to the end, comment, "I've arrived," and I'll personally reply. And if this content resonated with you, subscribe to become a part of it, and like it if you enjoyed it. Until next time,